Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Club. I'm Graham.
And I'm George.
With all the various builds and traits available in the game, it's no wonder there's some confusion about how different sigils interact with each other. We've scoured the internet and taken it upon ourselves to demystify some myths and get some light on some mysteries surrounding sigils, their traits, and whether they truly work as you might expect.
Unsurprisingly, one of the rare sigils also brings with it a lot of uncertainty. We've seen a lot of questions asking if supplementary damage stacks with signature sigils that give cooldown reductions for characters like Vane, Vaseraga, Cagliostro, Charlotta, and Siegfried. We've tested each character through and through and can confirm supp damage does not stack with the cooldown effect provided by Cag and Siegfried's signature sigils. It does work, however, on Vaseraga's charge attacks, Vane's finisher, and Charlotta's normal attacks. All the cooldown reducing effects that trigger base on hit are multiplied for each proc of additional damage. We initially even got fooled by Cag on this one and reported incorrectly about Vane in our sigil guide, so we went back to the lab to set the record straight. In case anyone is wondering, we also tested supp damage with Id. His signature sigil doesn't give him cooldown reduction, but increases the amount his Versalis gauge is filled by. Unfortunately, it seems like supp damage doesn't stack here. So can we say this myth is busted or confirmed? Well, put simply, it's dependent on the character.
Sticking with supplementary damage for now, let's talk about how it works with Rosetta. After testing, we can confirm that Rosetta's own basic attack and certain skills, like Lost Love, Rose Tycoon, and her own damage from Spiral Rose, all work with supplementary damage. So we can easily declare this myth is busted, right? Well, as a whole, kinda, but it's not so straightforward because supplementary damage doesn't work with the attacks from the Roses, not even if triggered by a skill like Iron Maiden or the Spiral Rose hits. So as a Rosetta main, your mileage may vary when you're running supp damage because you're not really getting its full effect and benefits.
Drain is a fantastic trait that recovers a portion of the damage you deal as HP, which is perfect for keeping you topped off from any chip damage or, depending on the situation, even healing you up to full health. However, Drain has a healing cap of only 500 HP, regardless of trait level. Once you're in the endgame, you'll quickly realize it doesn't take much to hit the healing cap from Drain. This is where improved healing comes in. Improved healing increases the healing amount and cap of skills by up to 50%. You might be tempted to think that this could potentially work with Drain or even just healing that comes from skills utilizing Drain, but we can confirm that this doesn't interact with Drain in any capacity. So for this myth, we can easily say it's busted.
Stun power determines a character's effectiveness at filling a foe's stun gauge and destroying body parts. And as it stands, stun power just doesn't do a whole lot. It's rather easy to fill up the stun gauge and get link attacks in. In fact, the real bottleneck isn't filling up the gauge at all, but rather waiting for the cooldown after a successful link attack, making each link attack itself all the more precious. This is why the trait linked together is so good. Instead of increasing how much you fill the stun gauge, it boosts the link level gain, link attack damage, and even chain burst damage. And if you really need to increase your link level in a pinch, there's always the blue potions as well. The alternatives to stun power do seem better than running stun itself. However, we want to bring up a trait that's somewhat tangential to stun, and that's Guard Payback. Aside from giving you a brief attack boost, Guard Payback increases the effectiveness of filling up a foe's stun gauge after you do a perfect guard. No one really knows how the Lucilius fight will go yet, but we can envision a potential scenario in which Lucilius has a phase where he goes ham. Major offensive, making it hard to attack him, or maybe just hard to survive. In this scenario, Guard Payback would be a perfect Uno reverse card that turns the tables of the fight. This would be your offense at a time when you can't typically do offense, especially if coupled with stun power. Depending on the phase or how hard it is to fill Lucilius' stun meter, we could actually see the value of these sigils increase exponentially. Obviously, this is a rather niche speculation, but it's an interesting synergy that we just wanted to share.
The starting goal of any build is to get to 350% damage cap and then try to reach that cap. The whole cast can get most of the way there by reaching 100% crit rate and using stamina, making it a staple in many builds. Unfortunately, stamina requires you to be near full health to fully capitalize on it. Usually, this isn't a problem since you can just heal up with potions. But depending on your build, enmity provides a very nice balance to the weakness of stamina. We'd even call these two sigils the yin and yang sigils, as they quite literally pick up each other's slack. So if you don't have a skill that has a super high damage cap, it might be worth considering, or maybe you just play Vaseraga. Their interplay is not something to ignore and could provide good coverage for some builds and playstyles.
Alright, these last two aren't exactly a myth or mystery, but there are a couple of bonus tips we wanted to share, and we didn't have anywhere else to put them. First off, if Lucilius ends up inflicting difficult to deal with debuffs, potent greens can provide an easy workaround by cleansing all debuffs simply by drinking a green potion. Again, this is speculation, but if you have one or two, it's worth holding on to just in case. Second, for the most part, once you're well into endgame, epic and even legendary single trait sigils are kinda useless. This is where the trade all function comes into play, so you can conveniently and quickly trade them all in for vouchers. In this view, all curio specific sigils that are usually single trait only don't show up, so you can trade in your regular sigils with ease. The signature sigils also work this way, and they don't show up under the trade all function, so no panic either way. Be careful though, because those curio and signature sigils do show up in the trade list, and if you don't want to trade them away, we recommend locking them up. You can easily identify these sigils by their exchange rate of 75 and 150, or the fact that they're always at level 15.
And there you have it. Hopefully you found this information as useful as we did. We're going to be streaming Lucilius when he comes out, so if you want to see us do that difficult raid, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're looking for people to coordinate with, come check out the Discord. But with that, we'll see ya in the next one.
See you, everybody.